Reese says WNBA players could go on strike over salary and benefits. All right, so Angel Reese says this. Rob, if you want to play this clip. You know what I love watching? I love watching her highlights of missing shots. She's got to be the worst shooter you've met in your life.
You won't believe who just threatened a league-wide strike. Yep, Angel Reese wants to shut down the WNBA if she doesn't get paid more. But here's the plot twist. Patrick Bet-David just unleashed a brutal reality check that might flip everything. You think you know. This isn't some petty feud. It's about what's really fueling or draining the WNBA and why Caitlin Clark is suddenly the name on everybody's lips. If you're ready to see how wild this showdown really gets and why Patrick's warning could rock the future of women's basketball, stay tuned. It's about to get interesting.
This year we'll still be on the rookie contract again. The ones that the year after, they gonna get more. They probably gonna be making more than us.
No, they are.
Who's that?
I'm hurt.
They are. Like, yeah. I've been in the meetings. They are.
I need to get in the. I need to get in the field.
You need to come to the
I
meeting.
gotta get in the meetings because I'm hearing like, yeah, they don't give us. If y'all don't give us what we want, like, we sitting out.
That's a possibility for real.
So how did Angel Reese go from college basketball's Bayou Barbie to stirring up a professional pay controversy? Let's roll it back a bit. First off, Angel practically broke the internet at LSU. Between the flashy on-court moments and the even flashier social media presence, she racked up a near $1.8 million NIL valuation, a jaw-dropping figure for a college athlete. Fast food giants, sneaker brands, gaming companies, everyone wanted a piece of the Angel Reese brand. And if you hopped on Instagram, you'd find out pretty fast that she knew it too. Fast forward to now, she's in the WNBA, which is supposed to be the big leagues for women's hoops. Except here's where things get complicated. Angel's salary is $74,000 a year, still decent money for most folks, but a far cry from the six-figure plus endorsements she had rolling in at LSU. So, in her mind, that's a problem. And her solution? If the league won't pay more, she and other players might just stop playing. It's no wonder her comments are sparking a wildfire online. Fans see a talented rookie demanding superstar-level pay, while skeptics wonder if she's gotten a little too used to those massive college endorsement checks. And that's exactly where people like Patrick Bet-David jump in with the hard, uncomfortable question, how do you expect bigger paychecks from a league that can't even turn a profit? But before we dive into that full-on collision course, remember, Angel's bravado didn't happen in a vacuum. She entered the WNBA with a massive spotlight on her, thanks to a college career drenched in hype and big-name sponsors. Now that hype is clashing with the WNBA's long-standing financial struggles, and the explosion has only just begun. Angel Reese didn't just casually mention pay raises, she dropped a full-blown ultimatum. If the WNBA won't increase salaries, she and other players might stop playing altogether. In her words, if we don't get what we deserve, we'll sit out. Pretty bold, right? Now, from her perspective, you can see why she's upset. She's earning around $74,000 in her rookie season, which for most people is a decent salary. But she's coming off an almost $1.8 million NIL run in college, so for her, this WNBA paycheck might feel like a downgrade. She's even joked that it doesn't cover a single bill. The internet, of course, had a field day. Some folks are cheering her on, saying, yes, stand up for women's sports, get that bag. Others are side-eyeing the idea of a strike in a league that's been losing money for years. It's like a battle of two extremes. One crowd believes Angel's pushing the game forward, the other thinks she's asking for a raise in a job that hasn't turned a profit in decades. Here's where it gets interesting. History tells us that major strikes, like in baseball or basketball, usually happen when a league is already raking in billions. But the WNBA has been running at a loss, almost every season since it started. So Angel's high-stakes demand has left people wondering if she's holding all the cards or just bluffing against a league that might not have enough funds to meet her halfway. Enter Patrick Bet-David. He's basically saying, look at the numbers before you make any demands. We'll get into his argument soon, but let's just say he doesn't pull any punches. This whole conversation sets the stage for the bigger question. Can someone like Angel Reese really leverage her fame to force the WNBA's hand? Or is this a risky gamble that might backfire if the league actually welcomes a pause in player salaries? Up next, how Patrick Bet-David shredded the idea of a walkout by revealing the league's actual financial reality, and why Caitlin Clark might be the one truly keeping everything alive. Patrick Bet-David didn't just disagree with Angel Reese. He pretty much obliterated her argument piece by piece. He pointed out the one glaring issue that keeps getting overlooked. The WNBA operates at a loss almost every year. According to him, if the league isn't making money, where exactly does Angel expect these bigger paychecks to come from? He also threw in a stinging reality check that's become the talk of the internet. You better pray that Caitlin Clark doesn't get injured because she's the one keeping your league afloat. That single line said it all. Patrick's basically saying that while Angel Reese is out here demanding more, it's actually Caitlin Clark's skyrocketing popularity that's bringing in record attendance and TV ratings, money the WNBA desperately needs. But Patrick didn't stop there. He broke down the numbers, referencing how the WNBA is losing roughly $40 to $50 million each season and has been for decades. Meanwhile, the NBA is pulling in billions. That's like comparing a tiny startup that's always in the red to a massive tech giant swimming in profits. So from Patrick's viewpoint, the WNBA can't pay its players more because it doesn't have the kind of revenue streams you see in other major sports leagues. What really left people buzzing, though, was how blunt he was about it all. He called Angel's threat to strike delusional if she thinks owners, who already lose money, would cave to demands. For Patrick, this is business 101. No profit, no raise. And if the WNBA wants to change that, the focus should be on building a sustainable business model, not threatening a walkout in a league that's barely staying afloat. In other words, he's telling Angel to look at the cold, hard facts. If you're going to slam your fist on the table for a bigger piece of the pie, you'd better have a pie in the first place. And right now, the WNBA's pie is more of a financial sinkhole that only Caitlin Clark's rising star is helping to fill. Here's where the numbers speak louder than any heated debate. The WNBA has been operating at a loss pretty much since the day it launched in 1997. We're talking tens of millions of dollars each year, enough red ink to make you wonder how they've stayed afloat this long. The short answer? NBA subsidies. See, the NBA has been pouring money into the WNBA to keep it going, essentially treating it like a goodwill project. While the NBA racks up billions in revenue, the WNBA struggles to cover basic costs, relying on the big league's deeper pockets for survival. That's why players in the NBA can earn a 50% share of those sky-high revenues, while WNBA players get only about 9.3%. There just isn't much to split in the first place. It doesn't help that the WNBA's schedule is much shorter, with fewer teams and fewer games. Compare that to the 82-game juggernaut of the NBA with its 30 teams, and you start to see why the money coming in just doesn't stack up the same way. But here's the real kicker. Every single year the WNBA dips into the red, the NBA picks up the tab. And if the WNBA isn't generating its own profit, giving players significant raises doesn't look like a smart business move. It looks like sinking even more cash into a league that can't cover its own bills. That's why Patrick Bet-David's argument hits so hard. He's basically saying, you can't hand out salary bumps in a company that's bleeding money. And why should the NBA keep funneling more and more funds if the WNBA can't stand on its own yet? It might sound harsh, but it's the financial reality. If you're losing money, you can't really argue you deserve a bigger slice of the revenue pie, especially if there's no pie to begin with. Sports strikes aren't exactly rare, but they usually happen when the league is raking in huge profits. Take Major League Baseball in 1994. The players felt they weren't getting their fair share of the billions MLB was pulling in, so they walked. It was such a big deal that the World Series got canceled for the first time in 90 years. Something fans still talk about with a shudder. Then there's the NBA in 1998. Again, players and owners were tangling over how to slice up the massive revenue pie. Result? The season got shortened, the All-Star game was scrapped, and the whole league was scrambling to salvage the rest of their schedule. Pretty major stuff, but the key detail is that the NBA was already profitable, just not as profitable as the players wanted it to be. The NFL has had multiple strikes, has had multiple, 1982, 1987, and even 2011. Each time, the players basically said, we're the ones on the field, we want a larger cut of these multi-billion-dollar TV deals, and the owners pushed back. Fans freaked out, TV ratings dipped, and all sorts of negotiations happened behind closed doors. Here's why that matters to Angel Reese and the WNBA. In every one of those historic strikes, the leagues were making serious money. Players demanded a slice of already enormous profits. The WNBA, on the other hand, isn't exactly rolling in dough. So while the MLB, NBA, and NFL players had real leverage, pay us more or watch your billions go down the drain, the WNBA doesn't have billions to dangle. That's why Patrick Bet-David points out that a strike might not pack the same punch in a league that's losing money year after year. If you don't have a big revenue stream, it's tough to convince owners to dig deeper, especially when they're already dipping into their own pockets to keep things running. When you look at the WNBA's recent surge in popularity, one name keeps popping up: Caitlin Clark. She's the player drawing record crowds, bringing in a wave of new viewers, and inspiring that unmistakable buzz you can't buy with marketing. The league's attendance has shot up by nearly 48%, hitting 2.3 million fans, and a lot of that spotlight seems to follow her around. It's not a coincidence. She's the kind of electrifying talent that makes even casual fans say, "Okay, I gotta watch this." And it's not just about people showing up in seats. Ratings are climbing too. Games broadcast on ESPN have averaged over 1 million viewers, thanks in large part to all the hype around Caitlyn's performances. She has that rare mix of skill, swagger, and highlights that light up social media instantly. It's the stuff that grows a league from the inside out. This is exactly why Patrick Bet-David bluntly said the WNBA should pray that Caitlyn Clark doesn't get injured. It's a harsh way of putting it, but here's what he means. Caitlyn's the kind of star you build an entire brand around. If she goes down, that momentum, ticket sales, TV deals, merch, could slow down just as quickly as it spiked. For a league that's been struggling financially for years, losing a key superstar who single-handedly boosts ratings is like watching your lifeboat spring a leak. It's also why some of the more established players might feel overshadowed. Imagine working hard in the league for years, then suddenly one college sensation shows up and becomes the main attraction. There's bound to be a little tension. But from the business angle, Caitlyn Clark's star power is exactly what the WNBA needs to stand on its own 2 feet. She's not just a player, she's practically a lifeline. And while Angel Reese might be demanding more pay, Caitlyn's the one drawing fresh eyes and fresh revenue to the league. All this hype around Caitlyn Clark, combined with Angel Reese's outspoken demands, has stirred up some friction in the locker rooms. On one hand, you've got veteran players who've been grinding away for years, watching a couple of rookies capture all the headlines and endorsement deals. On the other, you have newcomers like Clark and Reese stepping into a league that desperately needs fresh talent and bigger ratings. It's not that the veterans don't appreciate new blood, they just sometimes feel overshadowed. Imagine working your whole career for a league that barely gets media coverage, and suddenly there's a younger player who's pulling in huge TV numbers and social media buzz practically overnight. That can spark jealousy, skepticism, or even outright resentment. Then there's Angel Reese herself, who arrived with a ready-made brand, thanks to endorsements and a strong online following. Some longtime WNBA players have hinted they're not thrilled with her attitude, especially when she starts dropping threats about league-wide strikes. They see it as someone who hasn't paid her dues trying to boss everyone around. On the flip side, supporters argue the league needs exactly these outspoken personalities, whether it's Reese, Clark, or anyone else, to bring women's basketball into the mainstream. So there's a balancing act. Does the WNBA embrace the hype newcomers bring, or do they risk alienating players who've kept the league afloat through the tough years? The tension is real, and it's adding another layer of drama to a league that's already got enough on its plate. So that's where things stand. Angel Reese is calling for bigger paychecks in a league that's not turning a profit, Patrick. Bet-David is tossing out brutal truths about economics, and Caitlyn Clark is the rising star who might just carry the WNBA to its next chapter. You've got tension between veterans and newcomers, clashes between reality and ambition, and a whole lot of unanswered questions about what the league can actually afford. Here's the real takeaway. Until the WNBA starts making serious money, the fight over salaries could be more wishful thinking than legitimate negotiation. Whether you're rooting for Angel Reese to shake things up or backing Patrick Bet-David's no-nonsense business perspective, one thing's for sure. This conversation is far from over. Now we want to hear from you. Do you think Angel Reese is on the right track, or is she missing the bigger financial picture? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next episode. You never know when another controversy, maybe sparked by Caitlyn Clark, maybe someone else, will change the game again. Stay tuned because the WNBA story is only getting started.